Well, as much as you can, take it easy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lucky Dog Gen 6 Series Tuesday nights. I'm your host, Will McKellar. They are rolling off here. Let's get through our grid. We have, starting on pole, a familiar face, the number 78 of Gary Slapinski. To his outside, we have the 44 of Jacob Edson. Starting inside row 2's the 19 of Ben Gear. To his outside and fourth, the 429 of Paul Witt. Starting in fifth, we have the 777 of Michael Pegg. And sixth, we have the 66 of Colton Manich. Starting seventh is the 92 of Shane Bowie. And starting eighth, we have the 59 of Ralph Blair. Starting ninth, we have the 99 of Dan Witt. And in 10th, we have the 23 of Ray Zerkut. Starting 11th, the 43 of Sandy Curtis. Says starting 12th is going to be yours truly. Joined so I could turn a few laps. I will not be starting 12th. Starting 13th will be the 52 of Gary Whitmer Sr. Taking my spot on the bottom be the 00 of Thomas Holder. Starting 15th is the 24 of Jason Adams. 16th is the 89 of Randolph Richards. Starting 17th is the 91 of Joel Guy. 18th is 54 of Jared Daniels. 111 of John Henderson. It will be in 19th. And the 2 of Chris Hogan. Here we go. Green flag is away here at Michigan International Speedway. About a dead even start for our leaders here, the 78 and the 44, as they go into turn 1. It looks like the 19 of Ben Gear has an issue. Gets a little loose right in front of the 777 of Michael Pegg. Manages to save it, keeps it going. No caution, thankfully. They single file out and spread 3 wide up here towards the front. Colton Manich wasting no time working his way through the field. He's up to second. 78 of Gary Slapinski, enjoying watching these guys race as hard as they are side by side. Be able to pull both lines, the bottom through the corner and the top down the straightaways to keep them side by side. .429 all over the back of the 44. 429 of Paul Witt, not having the greatest of season. It's been a rough season for him so far. Not had any of the finishes he's wanted here in the Gen 6 cars, but talking with him a little bit before the race, Michigan is his favorite track. We'll see if he can turn his season around this evening. These cars only getting about 40 to 42 laps of fuel on a tank, so it's definitely going to be a 2-stop race, and the question is, how do you want to split your time? With 40 laps, you can run it out, or you can pit early. Like the 78 has a little bit of a bobble, keeps it going straight. 429 Paul Witt to the lead, wasted no time getting up there. The top 4 running within a half a second of each other. Now top 5 with the 59 of Ralph Blair. Is coming under fire from the 777 of Michael Pegg as they go into turn 1. Michael, that got that preferred line, was able to get through. Looked like a little bit of a moment there from the 99 of Dan Witt. Maybe a little bit of net code contact. So everyone got through there just fine as they're 3 wide going through turn 3 and 4. 92 just, it's like he's chopping down on the 99. Definitely, pinning him. Dan not able to make that corner quite the way he wanted to. So we head back to the front. Paul Witt still leading him. See Gary Slapinski let out of the throttle a little bit. Try and save those tires running behind Paul. 44 Jacob Edson. Pretty committed to that outside lane. At the 43 of Sandy Curtis, he's moved up here into the top 5. It's been top 5's had a lot of fluctuations. 4th and 5th has kind of been in flux. 77 takes a draft run from the 43 and clears the 66 of Colton Manich. Looks like he's thinking about maybe going for a pass on the 43 of Sandy Curtis. Sandy Curtis keeping it up high. Michael Pegg going down low. They're side by side. Michael got a run even on the 44 a little bit, almost made it to his quarter panel. Clears the 43. Sandy lets him go. A lot like Fontana, Michigan, you have many, many lines that you can run. You can run high, you can run low, you can run middle. Depending on how brave you are, you can run 4 wide here, though it's not necessarily something that any of these guys would recommend. See the 66 Colt Manage, he's falling back to the 8th position. They're racing pretty hard. 3 wide, they were coming out of 4 a little bit down the backstretch. Ralph Blair backs out, lets the 92 of Shane Bowie go. Shane running what looks like a Wood Brothers throwback car. Very nice looking machine. 66 Colt Manich going for a pass on the 43 Sandy Curtis. Sandy Curtis running a John Andretti throwback paint scheme. John Andretti is the driver of the 43 when I was growing up. So when I think of what a 43 car looks like, that yellow and blue Cheerios machine is what comes to mind. As we head back to the front, 78 of Gary Slapinski going for a little bit of a pass there. Maybe thinking better of it. We go back, saw a little bit of contact between the 777 and the 43. Like the 777 may have nudged the 43 up the track just a little bit. Those two race exceptionally hard when they're around each other. Some good friendly rivalries, always nice to have. Definitely adds to the excitement of any race. Sandy stays committed to that outside. I'm not certain if he's staying out there because he has nowhere else to go, or if he's staying out there because it's where he's most comfortable. See, in 3 and 4, he drops down almost 2 full lanes from where he enters the corner. So he's got a pretty good... Oh, Michael Pegg in the wall. Right hooked on the front stretch. Hits the inside wall. We'll go back and we'll take a look at this. They're coming through the front stretch. Michael just moves up into the 59s, what it initially looks like. We'll take a couple other looks at this. Maybe we'll watch from the chopper instead of the blimp. Ooh, chopper. There we go. So they're coming here through the 59 is there. It looks like Michael Pegg just not quite clear Ralph Blair there. We'll watch one more time. Right on board here with the 59. See, Ralph holds it. He's holding it as straight as you can on a curved front stretch. Michael thinking of just coming up and blocking the run. Unfortunately, makes the move just a little too late. Collects the 43 of Sandy Curtis. 99 of Dan Witt gets into it. 92 as well. We have a lot of folks taking advantage of pit road. And definitely seeing, what we're seeing right now is a mixture of strategy. So these cars, again, have about 42 laps at most. I mean, I say that, and we remember that we had Gary Slapinski manage to save 5 laps of fuel last week. So depending on how they run, I doubt they're saving 5 laps of fuel, but you can definitely save a few here with proper use of your clutch going through the corners. But we have a mixture of strategies. Got the top two, Paul Witt and Gary Slapinski, both opting to go fuel only on and off pit road. Only about 5.5 second stops for the two of them. Jacob Edson here looks like our first car on 4 tires. Jacob with a 14-second stop, so he definitely put 4 fresh ones on that car. Sandy Curtis with a 75-second stop. He's repairing off damage. But the top 5, all of them took tires. Gary Slapinski, Paul Witt, Dan Witt, Gary Whitmer Sr., and Ben Gear, your top 5. Only about 5.5, 6-second stops. Your first car on 4 tires is Jacob Edson. Behind him, you've got Jason Adams, Michael Pegg, and Joel Guy. All 3 of them only took some fuel. So definitely a mixture of strategies this evening. We'll be keeping an eye on how this shakes out. Only 11 laps into, only about 10, 11 laps into the race. Taking tires now might not be the play, but at the same time, we've also already seen some lap fall off. Nothing crazy, but enough that 4 tires may make the difference here at the beginning. They are doubled up. Pace car leads them through 3 and 4. Pace car gets ready to dive onto pit road. Gary Slapinski leading us back to the restart. Paul Witt, too, is outside. Paul looking very strong, hanging back a little bit. Not certain what's going on with the 429 there. Does not get a good start. He's cleared by 2 cars on the bottom lane. Almost 3, looking like what Ben Gear's going for. Ben Gear clears him by turn 1. Maybe starting in the wrong gear. 24, Jason Adams right there. They're 3 wide there at corner exit with the 92 to the inside. Paul Witt's able to clear the 24 going down the backstretch, so they're no longer going to be in that precarious 3 wide situation. The 99 of Dan Witt goes for a dive on the 78 of Gary Slapinski. We have a caution again. Looks like the 19. Problem with the 19. We'll go back, we'll take a look at this. They're coming down the back stretch. Everything seems sorted. 429 of Paul Witt, like he's diving the 19 of Ben Gear. Oh, Ben had a little bit of an issue. Paul got a little squirrely. They were both able to save it, but then looked like maybe Ben got loose again. Yeah, look, Paul coming up the track, Ben going down the track. We'll take a look at that again, but from a different angle. Paul gets a little squirrely, saves it, starts going to... It looks like the 19 got real loose on corner exit, knocked himself and the 429 down pit road. So the 19 is going to have a black flag for speeding on pit road, unsafe pit entry. 429, not certain if he'll have one. He got knocked down pit road. We'll see how this pans out. So Gary Slapinski remains your leader. '99, unfortunately, not able to clear the 78 before their entrant, before the caution came out. We did. Does look like we have a couple people decide to take advantage of pit road. 52, Gary Whitmer Sr. came down pit road, put a little gas in it. The 43, 59, and the 89 all came down, did a little splash and go. And the 429 of Paul Witt, who had that slide onto pit road after contact with the 19, he comes down, puts 4 tires on the car. It's definitely something you want to do after that kind of slide. And it looks like we got a few people opting to double pit. The 429, the 43, the 52, all opting to come down pit road, put a little extra fuel in the car. They're down and away. Not certain what was going on with the 43. Maybe he put some tires on. It's about a 14-second stop. So either that or he was repairing off some damage from that contact earlier. Darfield is a double file again. That's something very interesting about these cars. Going around Michigan, just sometimes they, especially on colder tires, you give them the tires the opportunity to cool down. The car just starts to get a little squirrely on you, and it can be, and it's an easy car to save, and then up until the point that it's not. And it looked like what the 19 may have been struggling with a little bit. But also the setup for this car, it is so good. You can run the car wherever you want all day long. And so that's keeping these cars very competitive side by side. Green flag back out. Top lane gets a very good restart. Gary Slapinski not able to run away with it. 99 of Dan Witt getting a solid push from the 24 of Jason Adams. They're side by side going into turn 1. Gary, though, has that preferred line, so he's probably going to clear the 99. He does before corner exit. He's bringing the 92 of Shane Bowie with him. Colton Manich, though, with a strong push from the 777 of Michael Pegg, going 3 wide on Shane, leaving him out to dry. 6-6 gets a little squirrely. We are 4 wide a little further in the pack. They get it all sorted out. 4 wide there for a second. Unfortunately for Jason Adams, he's the one who came out the big loser in all of this. Caution again. Looks like the 19 may be involved. Oh, that car is all torn up. So we'll go back and we'll take a look. They're okay going down the front stretch. Gets tagged by the 89 of Randolph Richard. Not certain. Watch from the chopper. Oh, that is unfortunate. Looks like a similar situation to what we had with the 777 of Michael Pegg. So 89 comes down a little bit, 19 goes up just a little bit, and it's not even that much. Wonder if maybe a little bit of netcode may have been involved, because he wasn't making any kind of aggressive move. Definitely contact, unfortunately. 89 came down a little, 19 went up. Fortunately, the 89 realized what was happening below him. Maybe going for a side draft when the 19 came up, and that was all she wrote. It's unfortunate the 19 of Ben Gear qualified third. One of our faster cars this evening, caught up twice in relatively quick succession. Hopefully he's got a faster pair still in the bank or something. He is... I'd hate to see him drop to the back because of this. As they head back up to the front, another round of pit stops. The 66 of Colton Manich opting to stay out with the 92 of Shane Bowie. They've only been out about 10 laps. The 78 of Gary Sapinski comes down 4 tires and fuel. 99 Dan Witt, 4 tires and fuel. Ralph Blair up to 5th, doing a splash and go. So again, we have a lot of different strategies. We've about 7 cars come down pit road, put 4 tires in fuel. The other half of the field, only a splash and go. Now, they haven't been on pit road. It ain't been too long since they've been on pit road, so, you know, it may be a little too early for them to be thinking about taking tires again. I know I mentioned earlier that lap 10 might have been a little too early. Over a 10-lap run, it doesn't appear as though the tire fall off is crazy compared to other tracks, like 10 laps at Charlotte. You're begging for new tires, or 10 laps at Nashville Super Speedway. Maybe you think that some fresh rubber might help you. Michigan had not, from what we've seen tonight, it doesn't seem to be too crazy of an ask to stay out on slightly older tires than the rest of the field. So as we head through turns 1 and 2, 66 of Colton Manich is your leader. The 92 of Shane Bowie will be restarting to his outside in second. 59 of Ralph Blair will be restarting third. The 44 of Jacob Edson has been fairly quiet this evening. I expect to see a lot of him, especially towards the end of this race. He'll be restarting fourth, and the 52 of Gary Whitmer Sr. will round out your top 5. The 91 of Joel Guy up to 6th. He started 17th, so he's definitely, that's the furthest. 91 here has definitely been the one who's moved forward the most. Always good to see Joel run up front. He'll have the 78 restarting behind him. We'll have the 429 and the 777 coming on the bottom here before too long. 4 of the fastest drivers, 99 to Dan Witt behind the 78. All starting towards the back. It'll be interesting to see how they carve up back to the front, because they've been wanting to run up front all night. We go back Grayson. The 92 does not get the start that he needs, but he has the 44 of Jacob Edson to push him down the front stretch into turn 1. They make it through turns 1 and 2 very clean. 44 still on the back end of the 92. 92 darts down, going for a pass here on the 66. A little bit of a shallow entry, but he gets the pass done almost immediately. Can he slide up? He's able to slide up right in front of the 66. 66 goes for the cutback. They are 4 wide behind him. They're further in the pack. They get a little sorted out. Two rows, 3 wide. This is very close racing. Not what we see. Oh! 44 gets in the wall, tags the 19, tags the 43. Caution is out once again. So we were taking a look just to see how intense this racing was back here. It's like the 24 just floated up too high on corner entry. Bounced off the wall and just drilled the people below him. They've misjudged corner entry just a little bit. It's not what any of these people wanted. Just misjudges corner entry by that much. Unfortunate. Good for Jason Adams, though. While I do believe he's going to get a penalty for having brought out that caution, I don't believe he's been involved in any of the other wrecks so far, so he should be able to get that car repaired and get back out there. Some of the other folks, though, not quite so lucky. I think this is Dan Witt's first incident this evening, so he should be able to get repaired. Sandy Curtis, though, involved in a caution earlier on. We do have 2 fast repairs per car. So if Sandy hasn't used both of his by now, he should be able to get that fixed, get right back out there. He's been a fast car this evening. So we look back at our leaders. 92, Mr. Shane Bowie, he's opted to stay out with the 44 of Jacob Edson. That's leapfrog the 78 of Gary Slapinski and the 777 of Michael Pegg up to 3rd and 4th. Brought Paul Witt. Sorry, my scoring is updated. It's brought Gary Slapinski and Paul Witt into 3rd and 4th. 777 of Michael Pegg into 5th. The Colton Manich brought Gary Whitmer Sr., Ralph Blair, and Joel Guy down pit road with him. Most of those guys taking 4 tires and fuel. Joel opting for gas only. So lights out on the pace car brings him down the back stretch. We have an ever-shuffling top 5. It's always enjoyable to watch people cycle in and out of the top 5. But bring him to the flag this time by will be the 92 of Shane Bowie, restarting first. To his outside, the 44 of Jacob Edson, right back where he started this race in 2nd place. Back in 3rd will be the 78 of Gary Slapinski. 4th will be the 429 of Paul Witt. And 5th will be the 777 of Michael Pegg, rounding out your top 5. Randolph Richards started this race in 16th. He's moved up 10 spots to 6th place. Outside there in that blue and red car, I know its badge is the 53, but his number is 89. As we get set to go back green here. Green flag is out. Shane gets a little better start than the 44, but the 44's got a little better push from the 49. 429. 429 able to just absolutely shove Jacob Edson off into turn 1. Shane's not going to be able to clear him. They'll be door to door coming off the corner. Jacob Edson able to clear Shane. 78 of Michael Pegg, 78 of Gary Sapinski, sorry, bails there on the 92. Opts to go around the outside. 429 going for a dive on the 44. Paul Witt not wanting to follow Jacob Edson longer than he has to. He completes the pass. And almost like back we were at the start of the race, is Paul Witt, Jacob Edson, Gary Sapinski fighting hard for the lead. As we got the 89 of Randolph Richard looking on. Looking to see where maybe he can take advantage of a slip up from one of these drivers, but the 777 of Michael Pegg able to get to his outside at the exit of turn 2. Gary Sapinski committed to that bottom right now. He's able to dive to the bottom of Paul Witt. Paul staying up in that second lane. Gary not quite able to clear. Paul moves up. 777 of Michael Pegg goes down to help the 78 of Gary Sapinski. Gives him a hard shot going down the front stretch, pushing him as hard as he can into the corner. That'll help Gary clear Paul Witt going through turns 1 and 2. Michael Pegg alongside Paul Witt as they head down the backstretch. Gary alternating pulling whichever lane, trying to keep those two side by side. Paul Witt, though, stuck to the back of the 78, not going anywhere. Michael Pegg looked like maybe he was fighting a tight race car there for a little bit. He got dropped back to the nose of the 44. As the 44, Jacob Edson is under fire from the 99 of Dan Witt. Behind them, 52 of Gary Whitmer Sr., 66 of Colton Manich, side by side. That'd be your race. These and Shane Bowie back up right in the mix after dropping pretty far back after that restart. This here will be your fight essentially for 5th place. They are running very, very tight. 52 and the 92 almost make contact. They're able to keep it sorted. Things calm down for a second here, but 99 going again, maybe looking for a pass on the 66. Not quite able to make it there. As we look a little further ahead, 44, Jacob Edson, really hounded on the back bumper of Michael Pegg here. He's pushed Michael all the way back up into this, and because of the racing that's been happening in front of him, 66 Colton Manich has also managed to insert himself into this conversation. These 5 all running just about within a half second of each other. Just like it was here at the start of the race. Some very hard racing for first place. No one of these 4 able to get a clear advantage. The 66 fell back into the clutches of the 99. Managed to get past also by the 92, it appears. But fighting back on the outside. To go back to our front 5, the 99 of Dan Witt has got himself up here fighting with Jacob Edson for 4th place. But the big battle here is definitely for the lead. 78 of Gary Slapinski, 429 of Paul Witt, the 777 of Michael Pegg. Gary Slapinski running a very similar line to Paul Witt because they're running about the same line. Paul's not able to get the drive off the corner exactly that he needs. He's able to get right up to the bumper of the 78 just before corner exit, but not able to get enough momentum to maybe get that nose in there before they turn in for the corner. Because they're running that same line, what that's going to do is that's going to wear out the front tires of Paul Witt maybe a little faster than he'd like. Jacob Edson and Colton Manich look on. Colton able to get himself back up inside the top 5. He's fighting the 44 there on the outside. Got a little bit of a draft push there from the 777. See if he's able to take advantage of that. Clear the 44 before corner exit. Not certain if he's going to be able to get there. Colton clears the 44. 44 is able to get up, but immediately under fire from the 92 of Shane Bowie. It's been amazing watching this top 5 just shuffle 4th and 5th out and just rotating between cars. 52 of Gary Whitmer Sr. putting himself up there. These cars look like they can run just about anywhere you want to put them. But doing this, you got to wonder how much Michigan's not too terrible on tires, but you got to wonder how is this going to affect how these cars are handling in the long run. 92 Shane Bowie hits the wall. He's able to gather it back up. That happened right in front of the 52 and the 99. No one else involved. We stay green. We go back to the front. 777 of Michael Pegg going for the pass on Gary Sapinski. He's pulling Colton Manich with him. Paul Witt staying glued to the back bumper of the 78. Biding his time. Was unfortunately not able to keep up that momentum. Michael Pegg's got to back out of it. Now he's stuck down low below Colton Manich. Colton assuming the 3rd position. So Michael also looks like he's 44 pulls alongside. Michael run that lower line though, able to pull out back ahead of the 44. So Paul Witt doing everything he can to stay out of the slipstream of Gary Sapinski through the corners, keep as much downforce on the car as possible to save those tires. As again, he gets right back up on his rear bumper just before corner entry. Michael Pegg still side by side fighting for that 4th spot, able to clear Jacob Edson. Starts tracking down Colton Manich again. Colton opting to run that higher lane. It seems to be working for him. It almost got him right to the rear quarter panel of the 429. 429 not quite able to get there, but also just not clear enough to be able to slide in behind the 78. He's going to go for the pass here going into turn 1. But something we've noticed is that top lane, the longer the run goes on, seems to be where a lot of the momentum's at. And unfortunately, Paul Witt, very shallow corner exit. He's going to get freight trained almost by everyone to his outside. Not able to move up to that 2nd lane. Keeping it down low like that, that's not something you want to do for an extended period of time. Look like we have a little connection issue blip for Gary Sapinski. He's back. Paul Witt able to fall back in line behind the 78. As Colton Manich goes for a pass on the both of them. Side by side, unfortunately, not that the momentum he wants just wasn't there. His momentum absolutely killed Jacob Edson in the 44, moves himself back up to the 3rd spot. 6-6 having a little bit of a moment, almost slides up the track into Michael Pegg, is able to gather it up before they make contact, but that absolutely destroyed his momentum as he continues to fall back all the way here into the 7th position. So 59 of Ralph Blair goes for a pass, is able to clear him. That drops Colton back to 8th. And that's how quick it can change here. Colton going from a pass on the leaders to running in 8th position. Shane here absolutely been very consistent, been within the top 10, fighting around that top, just that precipice, the top 5 all night. Not going anywhere. Things have appeared to have calmed down a little bit up front. And I say that, and here comes Michael Pegg, reeling leaders back in. The draft run here is so important. If you can come down pit road under green flag and bring, just come down pit road with one other person, then the two of you can make up a lot of time. Whereas if you come down pit road by yourself, you've got no one to work with, you're just bleeding time to the leaders. And that's really prevented these top guys from getting out too much ahead of the folks behind them. As we got a 6-car breakaway currently, led by these 4 right here. Definitely the 4 dominant cars of the evening. The 78 of Gary Sapinski, 429 of Paul Witt, the 44 of Jacob Edson, and the 777 of Michael Pegg. And they brought the 52 of Gary Whitmer Sr. and the 92 of Shane Bowie with them. All 6 of these cars essentially running nose to tail. Only a little variation in the corners that they're running. And Jacob Edson opting to run a little bit higher line. Michael Pegg able to run a little bit lower. Doesn't quite give him the momentum run that he wants out of the corners, but because they're not running as hard nose to tail, they're able to maybe save those tires just a little bit extra. Michael Pegg gets a little bit of run on the 44. He's got to back out of it a little bit. He does not have the help or enough momentum to be going for a pass. Paul Witt starting to arc his corner a little bit more behind the 78 of Gary Sapinski, looking for that air wherever he can find it, as he's bumper, just hooked nose to tail to the 78 going down the straightaways, pushing him for all it's worth. And that's making him hard to pass, because essentially what the 44 is going to have to do, he's going to have to split them up to be able to get around him. And that's not going to be the easiest thing to do with how well these two have been running together this evening. As we continue watching, front 6 still single file. Go ahead and we'll take a look back through the field. Back here to the 66 of Colton Manich. Colton obviously went for a pass from early on, and just it seemed like he was not able to maintain the momentum that he was looking for. Not really, doesn't appear to really be driving too aggressively, running a lower line than Dan Witt. Very similar to what Paul Witt's doing. Unfortunately, it looks like maybe something on the 66 is going away. He was last down pit road 23 laps ago. He took 4 tires. I wonder if maybe he made the car a little upset. Not entirely certain. We shuffle back a little bit further. The 43, Sandy Curtis, and the 91 of Joel Guy. These two fighting just to catch back up to the rest of the field. Fortunately, it doesn't look like they're able to get hooked up on the straightaways the way folks ahead of them are. Sandy doing everything he can to pull Joel along with him, try and help Joel get hooked up to his rear bumper. Just not, unfortunately, not quite enough. But Joel gets a very good run there. Looks like he might be able to get there, but his momentum just stalls out. If these two can get hooked up, they should be able to catch the rest of the field. So we'll go ahead and we'll keep an eye on them. So we head back up to the front. We see not much has changed. Mostly it appears the lines these gentlemen are running is what's changed the most. Paul Witt definitely stuck it down a full lane below where the 78's been running that last lap, just searching for that air. Going through 1 and 2, he's half a lane up, corner entry, half a lane down, corner exit, just trying to get all the air that he can on the front of that car. See, he is hooked to the back bumper of the 78, pushing for all he's worth, and that's keeping them ahead of the 44 and the 777. They're not able to really mount much any kind of a charge. Paul Witt's able to slide back up right behind the bumper of the 78 every single corner exit. So we just reached the halfway mark. If Michael Pegg goes for a pass on the 44 of Jacob Edson, Michael thinking that maybe it's not time to wait anymore. Unfortunately, the momentum is just not there. He comes under fire from the 52. He's able to stay alongside the 52 going through the corner. 44 dropping down to maybe pull the 777 along, see if he can get some help getting past. Unfortunately, not able to do so, as Gary Sr. is able to complete the pass on Michael Pegg, who's now coming under fire from the 92, looking to insert himself into the picture. Michael able to clear the 52 there off turn 2, very committed to that bottom lane. Looked like he got back in the throttle before Gary Sr. was able to. We look 429 going for the pass on the 78 of Gary Slapinski. And he's able to get a nose ahead, but again, that momentum there on the top side. Paul not able to slide up to the wall to make the most of his corner exit. With that shallower entry, he's going to have to lift a little bit more than the rest of these guys. Has a little bobble, able to save it, keep it going, but that's going to drop him down to 4th place so far, with 5th place Gary Sr. going by. 6th place Shane Bowie to his outside. Paul still not able to slide up, just not quite clear. Shane, that same thing we saw happen to the 66 earlier, going for a pass on the leader and just unfortunately not able to do anything with all that momentum that he had going into the corner. "35 laps into a run, this is where we're going to see the most tire fall off. At this point, with the way these guys have been running, these cars have to be plowing tight for everyone except our leader. He's not had to deal with dirty air most of the evening. So we're now 36 laps on these tires. Currently, the youngest set of tires in our top 5 is 4th place, 52 of Gary Whitmer Sr. Gary Whitmer here, tires only 31 laps old. Those extra 5 laps have done a phenomenal job of keeping him right up there in the mix. But the impressive thing, 92 Shane Bowie here. Last time he was on pit road was 45 laps ago. And I do believe all he did was come down and take fuel. Now the crazy thing is, these cars, as I understood it, only had about 40 to 42 laps of fuel in them, so he's done an excellent job of saving. And that's the amazing thing of being able to run in the draft, is you can afford to save fuel, because what these guys are going to do is they're just going to pull you along. But with as long as he's been running, you got to wonder how much gas does he have left. When is he coming down pit road? So we are now 3 wide here for a moment for 3rd place. 429 of Paul Witt fighting back on the outside. He's able to complete the pass on the 52. Get by. He's back up to the rear bumper of the 777. The 92 Shane Bowie goes for a pass low. He's probably not going to be able to complete it, just from what we've seen on these older tires. Unfortunately, that drops him back to 6th. Paul staying on the bumper of the 777, maybe trying to either push Michael Pegg or see if he can put enough pressure to make Michael slip up. Not quite enough. As Paul enters about a half a lane higher, trying to stay out of the full slipstream of the 44. Looks like he's able to do it. He's got fantastic momentum there running off the top. So you go up to Jacob Edson. Just about every corner entry, Michael Pegg dropping it in a lane lower. Maybe looking to see if there's a run to be had on Jacob. So far, not quite able to get anything to stick. Jacob's been very effectively pushing Gary Slepinski, keeping him out in the lead. As we head into lap 60 here, from here, everyone can make it without having to save. So at this point, this is where we really start to wonder, when are we coming down pit road? It's been a 41 lap run for a lot of these guys so far. Do you do another 40 lap run, or do you have enough fuel to maybe push it? Have you saved enough fuel to maybe push it a little bit longer, shorten that second long green flag stint that you're going to have here towards the end? We have a few people who've opted to come down pit road already, as our top 5 stay out. Sorry, top 6. The 92 really seems to have fallen off the back of this. He's definitely saving fuel here, and unfortunately, the way he's saving, I don't think that it's going to keep him up with this pack for too much longer. We've already had several cars come down pit road. We'll see how this plays out for him. Colton Manich in the 66. He's down away, first car on this pit cycle. 4 tires and fuel. Obviously, you have to take tires as late in the run as you are. But also the 59 of Ralph Blair, just behind him, also came down pit road. They're going to be making slightly better lap times than the folks ahead of them. Unfortunately, the way they came off pit road alone. And so with them coming off pit road alone, is not quite going to be able to make up as much time as maybe if they were working together. The leader's having a second and a half of tire fall off. Michael Pegg finally completes that pass against the 44 of Jacob Edson. Jacob Edson fighting back on the outside. Excellent run down the front stretch. Going through turn 1, they are dead even. Jacob going to have that run off the high side. Gary Slepinski trying to pull neither one of them. But that run the 44 had is able to keep him out just ahead of the 777. Michael going for it again, not able to drop back in line behind the 44. As we look like we got the 777 and the 429 of Paul Witt both opting to come down pit road. Lap 64. So this should give them about a 35 lap run to the end of this race. And what that's going to do is that should force the hand of the top 2, the 78 and the 44. They can't afford to stay out for too much longer on these tires. The 429 and the 777 are going to come off pit road nose to tail. Gary Slepinski and Jacob Edson opting to stay out. See how well this goes for them. Their last time by, they were running almost a 40-second even lap. So still that second and a half of fall off per lap. They're able to pass the 777 of Michael Pegg and the 429 of Paul Witt, but unfortunately for Gary, they came out right behind this top 5 group. So will they be able to unlap themselves under green? Looks like 78.44 finally opting to compound pit road. 78 locking them up. Hopefully didn't speed going onto pit road. There's a big smoke cloud there. And we go ahead and we ride along with Paul Witt and Michael Pegg as they come back around. Because Gary and Jacob came down pit road, they're going to be back on the lead lap. The question is, where is the 78 going to come out in relationship to these two? Sorry, in relation to these two. 78 down and away. But look at this, 429, 777, rocketing by on the outside. These two cars already up to full song. They've passed Gary Slapinski, but is he close enough to maybe get a hold of their draft run? Looks like he might be. That's Gary giving up the lead here. So we'll see how far back from these two he is. Let's jump ahead to the 429. That's a fair distance, but not insurmountable. So we check in on our leader, who's the 89 of Randolph Richard. Randolph, 44 laps on this run. Getting his points for being out and leading a lap. He is half a track ahead of these folks. So fortunately for him, he shouldn't go a lap down when he pits. Keeping it down the track, trying to get the best possible lap time he can make. Unfortunately, running a 40.1 that last time by. These cars on fresh tires, though, all turning 38.8 second laps. They're going to be reeling him in. Fortunately, he's not going to have this long 45 lap run to do after he comes down pit road. Just be, in comparison, a quick 30 lap sprint. Look like he's slowing up to come to pit road. He's able to get a woad up in time. So with the 89 coming to pit road, this is your race for the lead. The 777 of Michael Pegg and 429 of Paul Witt. And they do have 78 of Gary Slapinski, person who's led the most laps tonight, behind him. And it looks like that pit strategy for the 66 may have worked out, because it'll effectively put him back inside the top 5 as soon as they pass the 89. He got shuffled back fairly early on, going for a pass, just did not work. He's brought the 92 with him and the 44 of Jacob Edson here. So from what we've seen tonight, the usual suspects all probably going to be going back at it for the win here before this thing is over. So Michael Pegg continues to lead. Paul Witt just taking his time, doesn't want to burn his stuff up this early, going for a pass on Paul, especially when you've got the other 4 cars that have been running inside the top 6 all night long. Just about a second and a half back, just close enough that they can think about stiffing the draft of Paul Witt. Michael Pegg not worried about any of that. He's just worried about making sure he hits his marks. He gets in the corner where he wants, gets it down to the lane he needs it in, rolls back on the throttle, which is just the right time to stop that car from plowing tight out towards the wall. Gary Slepinski doing something similar because of where he's at. He's not really affected too much by the dirty air of the cars ahead of him. Behind him, though, the 66, the 92, and the 44 all running very close together, trying to replicate that speed that this group was able to make earlier on in the run, running nose to tail. 44 going for a pass there on the 92. Breaks this group up just a little bit. That's not going to help their momentum much at all. Now, Jacob Edson not able to make the pass. Drops back. Shane wrapping the bottom there. Not seen him run that low tonight. Maybe wondering if he was just covering the bottom in case Jacob wanted to try and go for another pass. This second lane seems to be the line we've seen most folks running. 44 gets a really good run, is able to get right up on the bumper of the 92, push him hard down the backstretch. '92 gets a little loose there going into turn 3. That slows him up, brings the 44 right back to his back bumper again. This is the kind of teamwork they're going to need to be able to get back up, is just be able to draft with each other very, very well. Separating the corners to save their tires, and then get right back to each other on corner exit. And that's worked phenomenally for them. They're already reeling 66 of Colton Manich right back up to them. So we head back to the front. 777 and the 429 doing something similar. It doesn't appear Paul is quite getting right on the rear bumper of Michael Pegg. They're still making very good time. Unfortunately, the 78 of Gary, for them, the 78 of Gary Slepinski is reeling them in from 1.5 back to 1.2 back. He's able to sniff just enough of their draft going down the straightaway that's pulling him right up to them. Paul doing what he can, running a very different line, it appears, to Michael Pegg. Maybe starting the corner higher, ending the corner lower in turns 1 and 2. Running fairly high that time through 3 and 4. Gets a monster run on Michael Pegg going into turns 1 and 2. Michael maybe had a little bit of a moment where the car was a little loose there. Paul opting to run higher so as not to get into him. Right up to his bumper. More of an arrow push that time going down the backstretch as opposed to locking bumpers like they have been. There we go. That's giving him a little bump draft going into turns 1 and 2. think he saw it, got the 77 a little loose that last turn. Wants to see if maybe he can do that again. Especially since he sees the 78 of Gary Lipinski having closed the gap to half a second. He's coming fast. He's bringing the other guys with him. They're still over a second back, but they are able to get the draft pull off the 78 to pull them up towards this group. So before this is over, I think we'll have another 6-car battle for the lead. The 20 laps to go, the way this has been rolling, you have to wonder, if you're the 429, if you're the 78, when do I make my move? When do I go for that pass on Michael Pegg? Do I want to, how much longer do I want to follow him? How much damage is riding in Michael Pegg's draft through the corners doing to Paul's tires? Paul's been doing a pretty good job of staying out of Michael's slipstream on corner entry and then getting in it on corner exit to maybe pull himself along a little faster. But you see the 78 of Gary Lipinski, he is committed to that high lane there in 1 and 2. Making up a lot of ground, closed up to within 3.5 tenths. What all this jockeying and jostling been able to do is it brings Jacob Edson within 0.8 of a second of the leaders. He is coming. He is charging. 429 goes for a pass along the outside of the 777, and Michael Pegg was able to pull alongside there through the corner, not able to clear. .78 going for a pass on Paul Witt. Down on the bottom. That's not worked too well this late into a run. Paul, 19 laps on his tire, 20 this time by laps on his tires, 18 laps on Gary Lipinski's. There's not too much difference there, and this has brought the 44 of Jacob Edson right back up into the fight. And unfortunately for Colton Manich, he was not able to capitalize on any of that. He's fallen 2 seconds back from our leader. We'll take a quick look. Looks like maybe he's still fighting for position back here. Got the 92 just not able to get the push they need to get back up there. These two on some of the oldest tires in the field currently. So it looked like it was paying off early. Maybe not quite as well now. Paul Witt, unfortunately, while we were away, got passed by both the 44 and the 78. So he's fighting Jacob Edson back along the outside. Paul not appearing to do much lifting here through the corners. Unfortunately, he falls back 0.3 of a second off of Gary Lipinski. Paul opting to move up to that much higher lane. Unfortunately, not able to run the line that he wants around this track. Both the 777 and the 78 running a line that just similar enough to the one that Paul prefers, that he's not able to really get up there the way he wants to. But running that alternate line, able to get right back up to the bumper of the 78. Running a very similar line now to his standard, able to keep pace very well as he makes it to the almost to the back bumper of the 78. Not quite close enough to be going for a pass. You got to wonder how much was that caution that he was involved in early on, how much has that affected his race, having to fight his way all the way back through the field. I don't believe he sustained any damage getting back through the field, but the question is, really, if he hadn't been involved in that caution early on, would he be leading this thing? That's a question you always have to ask. But at the same time, Michael Pegg was hooked into the wall as our first caution. Unfortunately, it gets a shot from the 78 there. Unfortunately, just misjudged. Michael just misjudged his move up the track. So he's out leading this thing. Sometimes a caution can be all it takes to break your focus for just a little bit. We're definitely happy to see Paul Witt running inside the top 5. He's had a very rough year here in Lucky Dog. But a run like this, your favorite track, can definitely be what you need to bring your whole season around, give you that confidence boost that you need, be able to keep going after it week after week. We all wish, all of us driving, all of us watching, we all wish we were actual NASCAR drivers. We wish these were real cars, but even though it is a simulation on a computer, we're all still competitors here, and so that drive to be, better than the guy you're racing next to, whether it be a real car or a virtual car, it's always there. Ever since the first person learned how to run, we've all been wondering who was faster than who. The great thing about simulation racing, like iRacing here, like the league we have in Lucky Dog Sim Racing, it gives everybody the opportunity that they might not otherwise have to be able to go out there and see, okay, this isn't a real car, but, can I drive? Am I okay at this? So we're 10 to go. And the great thing is iRacing's given a bunch of people opportunity to drive cars in real life that otherwise may not have. William Byron, NASCAR Cup driver, started on iRacing. Martin Truex Jr. Got his break after he did an iRacing event with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Martin Truex Jr., a NASCAR Cup champion. But beyond that, you have some folks, because they were able to do well in iRacing, they went out and they bought a dirt car and they started turning laps to their local dirt track, and they turned out they weren't terrible at it. Even brought home a few races. I know a few folks between the many different leagues that I've watched and ran in, that's not uncommon. As we watch this top 4, still nose to tail, each one of them looking for that moment to go for that pass. See 44 of Jacob Edson committing to that higher lane going into the corner. The way things are looking right now, folks not quite able to get the run they need on the 777 of Michael Pegg. The 78 looks like he moves up the track to maybe block the run the 429 had there. There's a little bit of aero blocking, stopping the 429 from getting all the grip he needs out of the tires. And they get right up there on the bumper. Michael Pegg coming into turn 1. See how much these lines have changed. All four of these guys were running down towards the bottom earlier in the race. Now they started looking higher, second, third, fourth, start looking a little higher and a little higher to see if they can get that momentum run on the 777. You can see it there going down the front stretch. They're really able to get right up on Michael Pegg. Just not enough for them to be able to pass him. Paul Witt going for a pass there on the outside of Gary Slapinski. Looks like he's going to make it stick as he pulls the 44 of Jacob Edson along with him. That's going to drop Gary back to the 4th place. Paul not content to ride in 3rd. He wants every position he can get. More importantly, he's got his eyes fixed on that 777 ahead of him. What would a win do to turn Paul's season around? Heck, even a runner-up finish would be an amazing thing for him right now. Gary goes for a little bit of a dive on the 44, not quite able to keep it alongside going down the backstretch. That's going to drop Gary back a little bit. 4 laps to go, though. Plenty of time for something to happen. As Gary tries again and just not able to get the momentum that he needs. Michael Pegg still able to hit that preferred lane. After passing Gary, it doesn't look like Paul's able to make up that much time on Michael. He gets closer on the straightaways, but as they go through the corners, just that little bit of dirty air behind Michael's enough to upset the front end of Paul Witt's car, and he's not able to get the drive through the corner that he needs as we set upon lap traffic. 91 of Joel Guy pulling to the high side to stay out of the way, let these guys fight it out. That looks like it gave Paul the opportunity to maybe go for a little bit of a move on Michael Pegg. He's able to get closer than he's been the last couple laps there for a second, not able to keep it up there. Negotiating that lap traffic, though, allowed the 78 to get past the 44. So he's going for a pass now on Paul. And this is exactly what Michael Pegg wants to see. If these two back here are fighting side by side, that means he's not having to worry about it. 2 laps to go. All of these gentlemen wanted to see the white flag. Is Gary not able to maintain the momentum that he needs to get past Paul? He falls prey to the 44 of Jacob Edson. Jacob running in 3rd. The white flag this time by. We'll see if Paul Witt can mount a charge. 777 been so dominant since he got out front. Paul getting an excellent run going down the front stretch. Can he maintain the gap and the momentum going here through turns 1 and 2? He looks like he's close, almost able, overdrives it, hits the wall. That's going to drop him down to 4th place. Unfortunate. Car just not able to hold the turn that he needed it to have at the speed he needed. 78 going for a pass on the 44 of Jacob Edson. Trying to bring it home second. Not quite. Jacob not able to make it look like he maybe tagged the wall, but Michael Pegg comes home your winner. Hard-fought victory. 2nd, Gary Slapinski. 3rd, 44 of Jacob Edson. Bringing up 4th place, the 429 of Paul Witt. Had to send it in as hard as he could. Just not quite able to get there. Colton Manich here, though, with the recovery drive, brings it home 5th. Shane Bowie in the 92. Solid run from Shane. Brings it home 6th. Gary Whitmer Sr. 7th. 59 of Ralph Blair. comes home 8th. The 43 is Sandy Curtis, will finish 10th, and the 89 of Randolph Richard rounds out your top 10. All right, folks, we're here. Unfortunately, not with your top 3. Jacob Edson not appear to be available for an interview, so went ahead and wanted to go ahead and take the opportunity to talk to 429 of Paul Witt, battling very hard for the lead there at the end. Came home in 4th place. Paul, this is William in the booth. You got me?
Yep, I got you, William.
Paul, you have added an absolutely terrible season so far, and you seem to be in top form this evening, running up towards the front, even after that little tangle early on in the race. We're watching your drive back up to the field, able to get back into the top 5. Go ahead and, if you could, after that contact with the 19, how easy did you find it to get through the rest of the field, get back up to the front?
Well, it wasn't that easy because a lot of the guys were going 3 wide, and I didn't want to get any more damage and go back to the back again. So I was just trying to ease my way through as fast as I could because I had fresher tires than Gary and that. But the cautions just kept coming out, and we got on equal tires there.
Yeah, and it looked like you and Michael, when you guys looked like you came down pit road about 3 laps ahead of Gary.
Yes.
It looked like those 2 laps, though, got you ahead of him for a little bit, but it seemed like over that long run, it didn't really matter. What was the tire fall off like tonight? It seemed pretty light compared to other tracks.
Oh, it was loose. This thing was loose all night long, which was fun. It was fun to drive, but it was definitely a handful.
It definitely did look like there a couple times, some of the, we had several almost incidents of folks just breaking loose. I'm used to driving tight race cars. When you say it was loose, was it loose through the whole run, or did it ever even out?
No, it was loose through the whole run, depending on where you got off the throttle and got back on the throttle. It was really loose behind somebody.
It definitely sounds like this is the kind of setup you'd expect to separate the men from the boys.
Yeah, because my last run, before we pitted under green there, I ran 49 laps on those tires, and I was 55-49 on the rights.
That's definitely sounds like you're running loose to me.
Yeah, and I was 64-52 at the end of it on the rights. So yeah, we were running really loose.
Well, it was an absolute blast running. Watching you run. Definitely the kind of race you need to turn your season around. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I got to thank everybody in here. Thank you. Thank Peg and Gary and everybody that runs. We usually run pretty clean, and got to thank my sponsor, DR Metal Roofing and Construction, out of Cortland, Ohio. They do a good job there, so got to give a shout out to them.
Well, thank you, Paul. It was good talking to you. It was good watching you. Hope you have luck on Thursday night.
I hope so. Thanks, William. Appreciate it.
So we'll go ahead and we'll move up to our second place finisher, Mr. Gary Slapinski. Gary, this is William in the booth. You got me?
Okay, well, I got you.
Well, watching those last 20 laps, I had no idea who was gonna take this home. You came off pit road there after that last stop, probably about a second and a half, maybe a little bit more behind Michael and Paul. You're able to track them down, and then just watch you guys shuffle second to fourth. It seemed, once we got into those closing 10 laps, Paul was mentioning you guys were running pretty loose, but it looked like, you, like all four of you, were able to run whatever lane you wanted, however you were able to, however you wanted. How difficult was it to track those two down as well as they were working together?
It was real hard. I'm going to be honest with you. I was lucky to sniff just a little bit of the draft because the guys behind me weren't really there to help me all too much. So I was kind of tracking them down by myself. I was just hoping the tires weren't going to go away too quickly. Because actually by myself, the car ran perfect. It ran great. As soon as you get around any other car, this thing completely goes junk. If they're behind you and if they're behind you in front of you, and it's straight, when you're nose to tail, they drive like garbage. When I was just out there by myself, it drove quite nicely. And I enjoyed it. I was like, wow, these tires must be good. But as soon as I caught them, the dirty air, forget it, and went to junk. It was all over the place. The tail was waggling all over the place. Michael will, confess to that, just all over the joint. But I think just being out in front and having that little bit of clean air on your nose is clean air, I think, is king. But when someone's right behind you, it definitely makes a little tail wiggle. Michael will notice that as he went up in front there.
And that was definitely something we were seeing here in the booth as well. When you were leading there during that first long green flag run, it didn't seem like numerous people went to try and make a pass on you, but that dirty air, I guess with the car running as loose as it was, it didn't seem like anyone could really get a run off the bottom.
No, you really couldn't. It was just too loose down there. At the end, I tried. I went try to do a bonsai and it didn't stick. And I went back to fourth, and Paul gave a run and went back to fourth. And at the end there, I think I got kind of lucky and just made my run. And I know I would just get the second. And that was it. So I was happy with that.
Well, excellent. It was an excellent race to watch. I mean, little dodgy there towards the beginning, I guess, with either the loose car or folks being a little what's the right word, squirrely there early on, but things definitely seemed to calm down to that after that last caution. Got two really long green flag runs. Very entertaining to watch. Like I mentioned, no idea who was going to come home first, but watching you track those two down, definitely something that was very impressive. Is anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I would like to thank Lucky Dog Racing. I'd like to thank you, Will, doing a great job this year. I mean, so far this year for this season. I'd like to thank my teammates, and a big shout out to Michael Pegg. He's been quite a good friend to me past couple of days. I got a little thing going on personally, and he's been there for me, and I really appreciate everything he does for me. So this is a big shout out for him, and he's been helping me out with other things with my computer too. I got a little issues there, so a big shout out to him. He has a big heart, and God bless him.
Well, we'd like to thank you, and we wish you the best, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Good night.
And lastly, we have our winner, driver number 777, Michael Pegg. Michael, this is William in the booth. You got me? Michael, you got me? You didn't mute yourself, did you?
How about now?
Got you now.
Man, that was tough.
that race was fun, was absolutely fun to watch. It did not seem like first place could break away with any kind of consistency from the folks behind them. You guys ran exceptionally hard. It looked like every single lap. How hard was it to keep Gary and Paul and Jacob behind you there for those last 40 laps?
It's hard. If you get out front, it's really loose. The car just wants to go all over the place. And so they would catch me, coming out of the corners, and then I would be able to pull away. But it was tough, man. It was tough for all of us out there. Gary was really loose. I kept wanting to get around. I never could. So I figured my only way was to pit.
Hold on. Give me a second here. It looks like now it looks like your mic disconnected there, Michael. It's still showing as microphone disabled on my end. Well, that is unfortunate. We'll see. We'll hang on for a minute. We'll see if he comes back. But absolutely phenomenal race. We had a very good race, clean there for.
How about now?
He's back.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, man.
You having a little bit of technical difficulties. It looked like Gary was having some technical difficulties on track this evening. Is it a full moon? I'm wondering if it's a full moon.
It could be World War III. I don't know. Yeah,
well, let's hope not.
Yeah, it was tough. Gary was tough out there tonight, and you just couldn't get that lower line would not go even if you had help. And then you get in the corner, it'd want to wash away. So you just kind of had to bide your time and wait for it to come to you.
Yeah, it looked like the only time anyone could really make a pass on the bottom was early on in a run, and probably by about 15 laps in, it looked like the tires just wouldn't allow it anymore.
Yeah, well, Gary said he couldn't run full blast with people behind him. I said, oh, okay. Well, let's count the laps down, and I waited for the right time to pit, and then me and Paul shot down pit road.
It looks like you guys, I was looking at that, wondering if maybe that was the right call at the right time, and you guys were able to make up quite a bit of time on Gary. I was actually surprised that you weren't able to get more than you did, though. Wondering if because he mentioned his car ran perfectly when it was by himself. So, wondering if maybe as soon as you guys separated Jacob from him, it started handling right.
I believe so, because when Paulie would get up on me, I was squirrely, and then even when Gary bumped me going down the straightaway, it would throw me sideways. Yeah, it was real loose tonight, real loose, especially out front. But I knew if I could get out front, I could drive a loose car, so it was perfect for me.
But for those of us watching, it was it was a beautiful car to watch. Y'all definitely look like watching Gary and you's cameras, just watching you guys seesaw back and forth on the wheel going through the corner. You guys definitely had some of the best car control all night. So want to praise you guys on that. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, we'll let all the guys know that Lucky Dog is about trying to do different things. We've got the broadcasting going on, we've got the racing going on, and I've always wanted to do Lucky Dog Rescue, and my dog's a rescue. We went to Florida, I guess about 6 months ago, and got another rescue, and then we're going to leave out in the morning about 3 a.m. We're going back to Florida to get 2 more, I believe, 1 or 2 more. So just whenever you can, adopt one at the pound, man. They're overwhelmed. They got 3 million dogs a year they're putting down. If you can take a dog, an animal forester one, please do. I'd like to thank the regulators, thank all the Lucky Dogs. Thank you, William, for coming out and broadcasting tonight. I thank Tracy, Molly, and Cash.
Oh, we up here thank you, putting on a fantastic show. You have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, sir.
That was our top finishers this evening. Unfortunately, not able to talk with Jacob Edson tonight, our third place finisher, but overall, fantastic race, fantastic evening. We thank you all for sticking with us, and we will see you tomorrow evening, same time, same YouTube channel, and you'll hear back from me Thursday for Lucky Dog Sim Racing Truck Series. We'll see you then.